Okay, so you know that Rahim Khan had two wishes in his life. One is to get married to his beloved, and other one is to get into a circus company. Both his wishes were not fulfilled. His parents did not encourage him. Primarily when it comes to marriage, because the girl happened to be from a different religion, and the circus company, the Rahim Khan's parents believed that it is below their family dignity. So till then he was normal. After his, what do you say? After this terrible disappointment that he had in his two wishes, his perception or his attitude or approach towards life changed, and he later got married to a woman uh, whom he did not love, and he started harassing her. For almost 30 years, he was abusing her, and one day, and even his two sons left him after they grew up. Okay, because they could not bear his torture, and at that moment he realized that his wife also may leave one day. One day, his wife also left. So henceforth, what happens, we'll see here. That was 30 years ago. Rahim Khan reflected as he lay there on his cot in the dark. And hadn't he had his revenge? For 30 years, he had ill-treated his wife, his children, and his bullocks, quarreled with everyone in the village, and made himself the most hated person in the community. The thought of being so universally detested gave him grim satisfaction. So some people are of this opinion that since the world did not give me what I wanted, or the parents or the society did not give me what I wanted, why should I be pleasing to the society? Okay, they will develop this kind of hatredness towards everybody. The thought of being so universally detested gave him some grim satisfaction. No one in the village, of course, understood or tried to understand the reasons for his strange transformation of the cheerful and kind young man into the beast that he had become. See, nobody, this is the problem with the members in the society. They will just blame the people for behaving like that. They will not understand, or they will not try to analyze why this person is behaving that way. Okay, none of them try to identify why there is this transformation in Rahim Khan from a kind-hearted person to a rude person. At first, their attitude towards him was one of astonished hostility, but later it changed to indifference mingled with fear. So initially, people were hesitant to meet him. Okay, they tried to be hostile towards him, and later they developed this kind of fear towards him. Of understanding and sympathy, he received none. So none of the family members or even the societal members try to understand him or sympathize with him. Shunned by everyone with a bitterness ever gnawing at his heart, Rahim Khan sought consolation in the unquestioned authority over his wife, which society allowed him. See, look at this. His only solace was when the entire society was against him. His only solace was his wife, means what all anger he had towards his society, towards his parents, he venged it, he expressed it towards his wife. For 30 years, his wife had submitted to his persecution with the slave-like docility that is badged of her tribe. That is the badge of her tribe. So during those days, it was expected of a woman to be docile, to be recipient of what all, to be the recipient of the violence that the husband targeted towards her. Lately, indeed, she had become so used to corporal chastisement that it seemed unnatural if a whole week passed without beating. So even the wife also got accustomed to the beatings, to the abuse, to such an extent that if he did not beat her, she felt that there is something, what do you say, something unnatural event, some unnatural act by Rahim Khan. To Rahim Khan, beating his wife had become a part of his very existence. As sleep gathered around him, his last thought was whether he would be able to endure a life without having an opportunity of indulging in what had now become his second nature. So it's not that Rahim Khan was not feeling guilty. He also used to introspect while he was sleeping. He even thought, is there any other way, or is there no way where he can come out of this rude behavior? It was perhaps the only moment when Rahim Khan had a feeling not exactly of affection his wife, but of loneliness without her. So when his wife also left him, he was so used to the presence of his wife. Even if he were used to beat her, he wanted his wife in the home. So now he felt very lonely. Never before had he realized how much the woman he hated was part of his life. When he awoke, it was already late afternoon, and he started the day by cursing his wife, for it was she who used to wake early morning, but he was in no great hurry today. Lazily, he got up and after his ablutions, milked the goats for his breakfast, which consisted of the remains of the previous day chapatis soaked in fresh milk. Then he sat down for a smoke with his beloved hookah beside him. Now the hut was warm and alight with the rays of the sun streaming in through the open window. In a corner, they revealed some cobwebs, and having already decided to absent himself from the fields, he thought he would tidy his hut. Tying some tags to the end of a long pole, he was about to remove the cobwebs when he saw a nest in the thatched roof. Two sparrows were fluttering in and out, twittering constantly. So that day, usually used to wake up early. His wife used to wake him up early, but now since his wife is not there, he slept till almost say afternoon, and he after his everyday ablutions, he milked the goat for his breakfast. Okay, after having chapati, the leftover of chapati of the previous night, he was gazing at the roof. So at the roof, he saw some cobwebs. While he decided he decided not to go to the fields today, and instead clean the hut. So while cleaning the cobwebs, he saw these two sparrows, which had made its nest. His first impulse was to wreck the nest with one stroke of his pole, but something within him made him desist. Throwing down the pole, he brought a stool and climbed up on it to get a better view of the sparrows. So immediately, the moment he saw the sparrow's nest, he wanted to break it, destroy it. But there is something that withdrew him from the attack. So he placed the pole down, and he was very much inquisitive to see what is inside the sparrows. Two little featherless mites of red-fleshed baby sparrows, hardly a day old, lay inside threateningly. He barely had a glimpse of the while their parents hovered around Rahim Khan's face, screaming inside of the nest when the mother sparrow attacked him. So the baby sparrows had just hatched a day ago. So he could see the fresh baby sparrows. And both the sparrows were revolving around his face, and the mother sparrow was almost trying to attack him. Next day, he resumed his daily work. Still, no one talked to him in the village. From morning till late in the afternoon, he would toil in the field, plowing the furrow and watering the crops. But he returned home before sunset. So for then next also there was nobody, no outside villager, no person from outside his home was in a position or were ready to talk to him. He just went to his field, worked there, and today he came back early. Why? Because he wanted to see the sparrows. Before sunset, he returned home. Then he would lie on his cot, smoking his hookah and watching his lively interest the antics of the sparrow family. The two little ones had now grown into fine young birds, and he called them Nuru and Bundu after his lost son. See, though he appeared to be violent to the outside world, he had kindness inside. Therefore, he named those two sparrows Nuru and Bundu, whom he had not seen for several years. The four sparrows were his only friends in the world. Four sparrows means two parent sparrows and two small baby sparrows. So for these baby sparrows, he named him Nuru and Bundu. His neighbors were still frightened of him and astonished that for some time no one had seen him beating his bullocks. Nathu and Chiddu. Nathu and Chiddu is the name of his bullocks. Themselves were very happy and grateful, and their bruised bodies had almost healed. So even his neighbors were surprised that he has not bet his bullocks. One monsoon evening, when the sky was overcast with threatening clouds, Rahim Khan returned from the fields a little earlier than usual. He found a group of children playing on the road. They ran away as they saw him, and even left their shoes behind in their haste. In vain did Rahim Khan shout, "Why are you running away? I am not going to beat you." Meanwhile, it had started drizzling, and he hurried homewards to tie up the blocks before the big downpour came. So now he started developing more sensitivity towards his actions. Okay, the moment it started raining, he wanted to protect his bullocks, so he tied it inside his hut. Entering the hut, Rahim Khan lighted the earthenware oil lamp and placed some crumbs of bread for the sparrows before he prepared his own dinner. "Oh, Nuru Bundu," he shouted, but the sparrows did not come out. Anxious to find out what had happened to his friends, he peered into the nest and found the quartet scared and sitting huddled up with their feathers. Quartet means all the four together. Since it was raining, it was very chill for them. So they had accompanied one another so that they get that warmth. At the very spot where the nest lay, the roof was leaking. Rahim Khan took a ladder and went out in the pouring rain to repair the damage. By the time the job was satisfactorily done, he was thoroughly drenched. As he sat on the cot, Rahim Khan sneezed, but he did not heed the warning and went to sleep. Next morning, he awoke with high fever. So in order to protect the sparrows from the rain, he went upstairs and ensured that the hut, clay is placed properly. So by the time he had drenched himself thoroughly and he started sneezing. So the next day, early morning, he had fever. When the villagers did not see him going to the fields for several days, they grew anxious, and some of them came to see what the matter. Through the crack in the door, they saw him lying on the cot talking. So they thought to himself, "Oh, Bundu Nuru, who will feed you when I am gone?" So even the villagers were surprised as they did not see Rahim Khan outside. So only through the window or through the door gap, they saw him, and they saw him, they heard him talking. Nuru and Bundu, after I am gone, means after I am dead, who is going to feed you? The peasants shook their heads sympathetically. Poor fellow, they said, he has gone mad. We will send for his wife to look after. So everyone realized that he has gone mad, and they decided that they will ask wife to come and accompany him and take care of. Next morning, when Rahim Khan's wife, anxious and weeping, came with her sons, a group of neighbors collected in sympathy. The door was locked from the inside, and in spite of loud knocking, no one opened it. When they broke their way in, they found a large and gaunt frame Rahim lying in the brooding silence of the room, broken only by the fluttering of 4 sparrows. So, what do you understand with this? So, the next the morning, Rahim Khan's wife and children come back. When they see the door was locked from the inside, and in spite of loud knocking, no one opened it. When they broke their way in, they found a large and gaunt frame, Rahim lying in the brooding silence of the room, broken only by the fluttering of 4 sparrows. Means what? He did not wake himself up except for the sounds of the sparrows. Means he had become such a kind of isolated kind of a person. There was some kind of psychological issues. The door was locked from inside, and in spite of loud knocking, no one opened the door. When they broke their way in, means they broke open the door. They found the large and gaunt frame, Rahim, lying in the brooding silence of the room. Means he was all alone lying in the silence of the room, broken only by the fluttering of 4 sparrows. So it can have multiple meanings. Either Rahim Khan is dead, okay, and the silence is broken only by the fluttering of the sparrows. When they broke their way in, broken only they found the large and gaunt frame, Rahim lying in the brooding silence of the room, broken only by the fluttering of 4 sparrows. Okay, it has symbolic meanings. One could be the family, because his 2 sons are also came back along with the mother. It got united, and he has another extended family there of that of the sparrows.